Hey, I'm Romesh, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Briefing, a podcast focused on helping lawyers build successful legal practices and lead healthier lifestyles. Look, you may think the legal profession is slow to change, but the truth is there are many lawyers using technology to practice more efficiently, deliver greater value, and balance their personal and professional responsibilities. The Entrepreneur Briefing features the stories of these legal professionals and the founders of technologies driving the transformation of the legal profession. Together, I am confident we can help each other reach our personal and professional goals in an age of rapid cultural, social, and technological change. Thanks for sharing your day with me. Let's begin. So this week, I talked to commercial lawyer Toufic Adlouni, the founder of Renno Co, an innovative law firm founded by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs that uses technology to improve legal services for the startup community. Now, I had only met Toufic a couple of weeks earlier at the Legal Innovation Summit, but we quickly bonded over our shared background as immigrants and how we both make decisions when it comes to building a modern legal practice. Our conversation was so good that I had to split our conversation into 2 episodes. In this first conversation, we talk about the choices immigrant lawyers face when building their legal careers and their law firms, why patience is critical to career growth, and the values Toufic sees as influential in building a successful legal career. Spoiler alert, Toufic's answer as to what is the value of a lawyer is one which I now regularly use when I speak to clients. Enjoy the conversation. Hey, Toufic. So thanks a lot for appearing on the Entrepreneur Briefing. What's your story?
Hey, Romesh. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and that kind of shaped my world a little. And then I went to boarding school in Canada, and that shaped my world too. I think from a young age, I wanted to be in politics, and I saw that, a lot of folks who were in politics were lawyers. So I said, I'm going to do that. And I had a really rough time trying to get to that goal, to be frank. In undergrad, I think I applied to 8 law schools, got into one conditionally, was at University Laval University in Quebec City. And the conditional offer was based upon the necessity for me to speak French, which I didn't really speak at the time. So I took the French test exam that they make you take 5 times almost, didn't pass any of them. Moved to Quebec City, took French as a certificate, and then passed those necessary courses to actually get into the law school of French. Now, that was just the beginning. I suffered pretty hard in law school. Law school is already fairly brutal enough. I was doing it in my 3rd language, while at the same time I was actually working in politics. And, I remember, my first semester, my obligations textbook, which, is the big piece of work there, thousands of pages. I just was typing the whole damn thing into Google Translate so I could sense of what the hell was going on. I passed, didn't fail a course, but I didn't get accepted anywhere. My grades were not that good. Applied to every law firm in the Course Stage, which is what we have in Quebec, and got rejected to all of them. Then I got hired by a law firm in which I just applied. It was the first law firm I applied. After passing my bar, they called me in for an interview the next day, hired me on the spot. But the whole process was weird. The person who was interviewing me was saying really weird stuff to me. She was saying, you work really long hours here. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay to work long hours. Except I just like to go to the gym. And she's like, she just puts down her glasses and she's like, well, we don't want you to stop going to the gym.
Seriously?
Yeah. And then she said, I remember she didn't even look at my CV or anything. She just threw the paper. She was like, all I need to know is right in front of me here, and did like a little smirk. She was like an elderly lady. It was very weird. The whole experience
Hey,
hyper
lad.
uncomfortable.
Wow, that's kind of unreal.
Well, yeah, and you know what's crazy is that I left that interview. They hired me on the spot. Like the other lawyer who was there was super uncomfortable. She said that when I walked out of the room, like months later, she told me when I walked out of the room, the other lawyer kind of like went to check out my ass and stuff like that. And she was like, that was the most unprofessional thing we've ever seen. So I obviously left the interview with like this weird feeling. I was like, I was like, this is a pretty crappy situation. So why would I take it? But then, we had like a little family reunion that weekend, and my family, and this is, I like to come back to this a lot, is this kind of immigrant mentality, right? Where, and you might understand it as well, where like your parents are like, shut the fuck up, do the work. If someone offers you a job, take it. If someone pays you $1 for it, say thank you. It's like this, work hard, be humble, don't talk kind of attitude, which they were obviously brought up with immigrating to Canada.
Well, I think it's the idea that get whatever job pays the bills, just take it, no matter how humiliating the job is.
No, it is exactly. And we were raised that way. My dad said, when your boss tells you to do something, you do it no matter what. You do it no matter what. If they say for this price, you take it. And there's some good advice there. There's a nugget of proper advice there, but there's a lot of
somewhere in what they're saying, there's something good. We just can't find it.
There's a lot of crap about that because it allows you to take things that you're better than, right? Because you're essentially short selling yourself. And it also forces you to go into things that you don't like. It's take the first job you get was counterintuitive to a lot of the advice a lot of the lawyers were telling us in law school, where they were saying, wait it out, be patient, look for things that you want, and when you get it, take it. That was much more proper advice than, take whatever you want and just thank God that they took it. And I remember my aunt was telling me, she was really pushing me to take this job. And she said, a bird in the hand is better than 13 in the tree. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. So, it made sense to me at the time, and the expression, I guess, makes sense. But then I said to myself, but what happens if that bird has malaria and kills you? Or
finish the story. That bird could be poisonous. Absolutely.
Who knows? And, I bring it back to another example where patience is key. LeBron James, when he first entered basketball, I think could have signed like a fairly substantial contract with Reebok. Turned that down, waited a year, and got a way bigger one with Nike. Sometimes the patience helps. Sometimes knowing your worth helps. But at that time,
But we're not taught that. I mean, immigrants aren't taught the importance of know your value. Like for us, it's just take whatever's given to you, right?
Oh yeah, it is. And I think that, when I talk to my younger brothers, I try to tell them, don't try to sell yourself short. Don't try to go for the first thing that comes your way. Know your worth. Don't overestimate your worth either, but know your worth and aim for that. Anyway, so I got myself stuck into a fairly bad, law firm situation. My boss was 2 months into my articling because she got major depressed and left me essentially running her practice. I'm kind of really grateful actually for this whole experience. I know I'm shitting on it and saying, I sound regretful, but I'm really not regretful at all. I'm actually quite grateful from it all because, I could have went to another law firm and had a really awesome structured, apprenticeship. And that would have taught me a lot of amazing things. But in terms of becoming a law entrepreneur, as you like to call it, I think it was the lesson of hard knocks I learned at a pretty early stage in my legal career about how to manage files, how to manage clients, how to manage, a practice, and how to kind of learn on the ropes. So it was very gratifying, but at the end of the day, the practice was not doing too well. And as the relationship between me and my boss deteriorated, I started building more and more clients. So I got quite a big client, and I felt quite comfortable to go on my own. And I went on my own. I was a sole practitioner for a couple of months, and then I said to myself, I don't want to be known just as a Bitcoin lawyer. It's fun, but it's not going to be everything. I really want to open this practice up to startup law, and not only startup law, but I started really envisioning, becoming a real force of disruption in the legal industry. From my whole experience, though quite short at the old law firm, I think the old law firm in a lot of ways was a quintessential traditional law firm, doing things the way many law firms across this country do it. And for me, being, a person who's always questioned the way things were done, I was like, well, a lot of this stuff is just straight stupid, right? And I'm not trying to, I can't even mince words about it. So I think with that in mind, I said, you know what, there is a industry here that's ripe for disruption. I'm going to try to be a player in that if possible. And I started Renno Co, which is a law firm by founders, for founders. We live the startup life with our clients, and we try to use the best that technology has to offer, whether third party or here in-house, to service our startups. And we concentrate on really the venture capital financing and the intellectual property part of the industry. So we've been in business for now at least 1 year, and it's been a huge amount of growth. I can't even believe how.
So out of curiosity, like, why Renno and Company?
Oh yeah, good question. So Renno is my actual last name in Lebanon. So
interesting.
Yeah, so for some reason, so on my Lebanese ID it says Adlouni, and then it uses this word that doesn't really translate, but it's like also known as Renno. But everyone calls me Toufic Renno, right? So in the Middle East, I'm much more, and just generally speaking, I'm much more attached to the Renno last name than the Adlouni last name. So I used it. It also sounds better. I thought it looked good. And I didn't want to go one of the things that I really concentrate on is the inventiveness curve, right? That if you want to be innovative, you can't be so innovative to make it actually unpalatable for your target market. You have to kind of pick the sweet spot between comfort and innovation.
The reason I ask is because, like, even for me, so when I started my own shop, I did not want to call it Hetiarchi Lawyers. Why? Because nobody could pronounce my last name. You want to make it easy for clients to come and talk to you. And sometimes when they look at really long last names, they might get scared.
For sure.
Like, it's just a reality, right? And most of my client base has tended not to be brown. It tends to be of all wide varieties. And if they can't pronounce my last name, they're a lot less likely to hire me.
Essentially, the name of your firm is a brand, right? And your last name is probably not that great of a brand.
How has your practice gone? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy, there's a lot of parts that give me great joy, and there's a lot of parts I hate, but I think that's part and parcel with any business and any startup. I'm not really one to sugarcoat things. Nothing, even if you do what you love, parts of doing what you love really suck. And you just have to take those as they come. I think the part that I love the most about the practice is being able to sit on the shoulders of innovation. we go into so many companies. We service about maybe 56, 57 startups and counting, and being able to come in to their businesses and just like live on the frontier of technology with them, and then be able to solve problems with them. It gives me, absolute joy. And it's fun too. We have a client, for instance, who does haptic robotics. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's essentially creating the sensation of touch in a virtual reality. So, essentially you can wear this vest, and you can be playing a VR video game. And when someone shoots you in the world, you feel the bullet, right? And if it's a shotgun, you feel it differently. Or a Magnum, you feel it harder, which is crazy, right? But it's, so there's being part of these projects and living with them. And there's other ones that are like, also very, not just fun, but, with great missions and great purposes. I just love, I love starting companies. Renno Co is my third one, and just being able to relive that exhilaration with all of my clients. I find it the greatest thing in the world. The worst part about it, of the business, because I always like to talk about the bad with the good, is I think just the management of is like a good part of the month. I'm a collector. I'm calling people for money, and it's a part of the practice that I wish when I was a law student, people would talk about a lot more. That no one pays their lawyers, so I try to talk about it a lot.
At the end of the day, our practices are businesses. Mm-hmm. And for better or for worse, law school doesn't teach you how to run a business. It teaches you all this great stuff about how the law works. And I've got questions around whether they even do that.
They don't even do that.
But it's just so funny. Like, it doesn't really prepare you on how to run a business. And it's just funny because my education in running a business started when I started my firm. And that's why I really think that all lawyers should go into this profession thinking that they want to be entrepreneurs, right? Like, it's really that idea of like knowing how to manage your enterprise. This is incredibly important.
And I think that is something that is currently not there. And I think also within the culture of the students coming into law school at the moment, it's not there. If you talk to a lot of law students why they go into law school, the answers are, they might surprise you. I find a lot of law students seem to do it because they want a stable job that pays well, that has status. That's kind of what they're going for.
And that's no longer true anymore.
That's not true. But it's the illusion. It's the illusion that is propagated by your tours of Bay Street firms. It's a search for status, and I think that in shows like Suits and whatever don't help. But that's not what we're trying to do with our law firm, right? We're trying to break the mold of, when you close your eyes and you think, what is a stereotypical lawyer? And you take a look and you see the Harvey Specter or whoever else, we want to shatter that. And, we want to show that a lawyer can be, just like any old human who is approachable, who works in regular offices, who wears regular clothes, and doesn't have to be, this elevated status. And I think we might actually see a change in the demographics in the law students that come into law if we start changing the perception of what a lawyer is. And a perception of what a lawyer is has to change.
Absolutely. And I think that with each new generation of law students, there's actually going to be a change in culture. I mean, we take for granted convenience. We take for granted speed. People are not going to be satisfied with paper documents anymore. They're going to be fine with electronic documents, electronic signatures. We're looking for more innovative ways to reduce friction, which leads me into a question around what is the value of a lawyer in your eyes?
I think that's a great question. And I actually have to totally steal the answer from somebody else because I think it encapsulates it quite well. And it's the chairman of White & Chase. A lawyer's job is to take responsibility of the challenges of his clients or her clients.
That's a great answer.
I know it is.
Oh, that's an awesome answer.
It is. We essentially, you come to us, you give us your challenges. We take it and then we push through. We push through. We are problem solvers, right? We are value adders by solving the problems in which you have. And there's two words that are awesome in that, and that's the word responsibility and challenge. A lawyer has to be hyper responsible, right? You have not only legal responsibility, but you also have to have this serious personal responsibility to yourself, to your colleagues, and to your clients. Because people are relying upon you to get stuff done. And that reliance sometimes has a high price tag. And another one is the challenge, is that people are not coming to you with walks in the park. A lot of times they're challenging mandates that need friction and need force and need ingenuity, need energy. I think that is the goal of a lawyer.
So 3 takeaways from this conversation. First, have a strategy to grow your career. Don't simply take the first job that comes your way. 2, leverage the innovation curve in your practice. And lastly, the lawyer's job is to take responsibility for the challenges of his or her clients. In the next episode, we'll continue our conversation with Toufic and explore the worries he has about the future of the legal profession, the practices you can implement today to help you collect more revenue from clients, and what law firms can learn from weddings in Tajikistan. Talk to you in a couple of days. Cheers. Hey, if you've enjoyed this episode of the Law Entrepreneur Briefing, please subscribe to this podcast and also join the Law Entrepreneur community on LinkedIn. The Law Entrepreneur community is where you can find more content to support your career growth and is also where you can apply to be a guest on the podcast. A link to the Law Entrepreneur community is in the show notes. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.